Call to order. Good evening. This is the start of the Hanson Board of Selectmen meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. In accordance with Governor Baker's recent order reducing the number of individuals allowed to congregate at any time to 10 due to the spike in COVID-19 cases, this evening's meeting will be held remotely with reasonable access being afforded via live stream courtesy of Whitman Hanson Cable Access Television. We'll be going into executive session to conduct strategy sessions and preparations for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel pursuant to Mass General Law C-30A S 21A2, to wit, Town Administrator and Interim Town Administrator. Looking for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Roll call. Wes.
Second.
Aye.
Laura.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. We're now in executive session. We will convene an executive session to return to open session at 6 p.m. or upon the conclusion of executive session business, whichever comes first. Thank you, and we're back. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Laura, would you mind doing the public announcements and upcoming meetings, please? We can't hear you.
I was really working myself up to a crescendo there. All right. Nomination papers for the May 15th Town of Hanson annual election are now available at the Hanson Town Clerk's office. Nomination papers can be obtained by contacting the Hanson Town Clerk's office at 781-293-2772 and making an appointment. Volunteers are needed on the following committees: Facebook Upkeep Committee, Conservation Commission Associate Members, Cultural Council, Disabilities, Economic Development, Highway Building Committee, Historical Commission, Memorial Day Patriotic Observance, Memorial Field Trustees, and North River Commission. Applications for appointment and info on the committees are available on the town website at www.hanson-ma.gov. Upcoming meetings. These appear to be, I don't know if I'm reading the right dates. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Mr. Chair, I have the announcements if you like.
All right, thanks. I've got the wrong file, sorry.
No problem. Good evening, Hanson. It's almost time for cleanup, green up. That's the time of the year when Greene Hanson organizes a volunteer cleanup on the streets of Hanson. It's a great opportunity to get the whole family involved. This can be a learning experience while providing us with a cleaner and healthier town. In order to maintain COVID protocols, we're extending it once again to a 2-week time frame, April 10th through April 24th. For more information, check out the Greene Hanson Facebook page or email them at greenhanson@gmail.com. The second annual Cast for Pat Fishing Derby will be held on April 17th, 2021 at Wampatuck Pond, which is also known as Town Hall Pond. Registration is open at 7:30 a.m. and the derby will go until 12 p.m. Pizza and drinks will be provided at the end of the derby. The derby is free to kids under the age of 12, and all others will pay $20. There are prizes, raffles, and gift certificates. The proceeds will be split between the Hanson Senior Center and the Whitman Senior Center. Volunteers are needed on the following committee: the Facebook Upkeep Committee, the Conservation Commission Associate Member, Cultural Council, Highway Building Committee, Historical Commission, Memorial Day Patriotic Observance, and Memorial Field Trustees. Applications for appointment and information on these committees are available on the town website at hanson-ma.gov. For upcoming meetings, the Board of Selectmen will be meeting on April 20th at 6 p.m. This is a public forum at the high school auditorium. And the Board of Selectmen will also be meeting on April 27th at 6 p.m.
Thanks, Matt. And thanks, Laura.
Chairman Mitchell, I'm just wondering, did we approve the cast for Pat fishing derby at a prior meeting? Because I want to make sure that they have, I don't have problem giving them permission, but the 17th is coming up and I just want to make sure we approved it.
Yeah, I think we did, but we did it a while ago.
Okay.
We did it like several months ago, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. And it
Okay,
got
great.
delayed for COVID, and then she changed the date and you reapproved it.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, so in executive session, the town administrator submitted his resignation to the board. So I'm looking for a motion to accept John Stanbrook's resignation effective June 1st, 2021, and to waive the notice provisions set forth in section 4C of his employment contract.
So moved with regret.
Second.
Okay, roll call
Second.
vote.
Third with regret.
Jim,
Aye with regret.
Laura,
I with regret and with gratitude.
Wes,
Aye, ditto.
Matt.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye. And John will get into that in a little bit more detail in his town administrator report. Okay, John, we're gonna miss you and sorry to see you leave us. Okay, next up, under new business, finalize proposed May annual and special town meeting articles. Vote to place articles and vote to recommend the articles that we haven't done. John, you wanna key this up? So we've got a couple of changes, guys, and then a couple of numbers that are changed. So I have Kate on to explain a couple of the changes. So as John goes through, John, defer to Kate so the board can get up to speed on the changes, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The special town meeting, there were two articles that you voted to place them all, but there were two that you hadn't voted to recommend yet. So the two that you haven't voted to recommend yet are Article 1, which is to see if the town will vote to transfer $506.25 from free cash to pay unpaid bills from prior fiscal years or take any other action in relation thereto. So we have one unpaid bill in the risk management department, and the vendor is New Directions, which is our employee assistance program. And again, the amount is $506.25, and the funding source as of right now is free cash. So that would be Article 1 if you choose to recommend that or not. That'll be going on the information warrant.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to recommend Article 1.
Recommend and place.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Matt. Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Stanbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Article 2 is the other one on the special town meeting that hasn't been recommended yet. Again, you voted 5-0 to place it, but not to recommend it because you didn't have the details of it. So this would be the detail of the article to see if the town will vote to transfer $41,200 from free cash, $150,000 from ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation fund, and $39,219 from recreation enterprise fund retained earnings, for a total to be transferred of $230,419 to supplement appropriations previously voted in Article 6 and or Article 7 of the July 29th, 2020 annual town meeting for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020 for various departments as shown below, or take any other action in relation thereto. Excuse me. And the four budgets are fire salaries, Ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation fund would be the funding source. The amount would be 150,000, excuse me. And the purpose is because of increased overtime costs. Number 2 is highway, snow and ice budget line item. That would be paid from funding source would be free cash. The amount is $6,200. And again, there's a snow and ice deficit. Number 3 on this article is for fixed costs, unemployment compensation, and the funding source would be free cash, and the amount is $35,000, and that's increased unemployment claims. And the last one is recreation expenses, the budget line item. The funding source is recreation enterprise retained earnings. The amount is $39,219, and the purpose is the use of retained earnings to bolster the fiscal 21 revenue budget. So the total is $230,419.
Okay, anybody have any questions on that? I'd like to entertain a motion to recommend Article 2 of this special town meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Wes,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, next, Mr. Stanbrook.
Okay, thank you. That's it on the special town meeting. So that's all set. We can move on to the annual town meeting. And the first one that we should probably talk about, and again, Ms. Fedorov can give an explanation on it, was at the last meeting, it was the old Article 4, and it was an article to discuss the override question. And Ms. Fedorov has more on that.
Yeah, so that was just procedurally improper. So the way an override works is the Board of Selectmen are the only ones with authority to place the question on a ballot. So it's a ministerial act. You deem it in the best interest of the town to ask the question, and you authorize that question to go on the ballot. Then the residents have 2 opportunities to deal with that question. The first is at town meeting, and that's during the appropriation piece, because you need 2 yeses. You need the appropriation and you need the yes on the ballot question. So where that is going to fall now, I think it's it's renumbered 5 now, John, am I correct?
Article 5 is going to be the article that has the budget if the override doesn't pass. And then Article 6, Article 4 is going to be the budget if no override. Article 5 is the budget if the override passes.
So that's where the town meeting debates the actual issue, whether or not to appropriate that 1.8 million in additional revenue. So raising an additional 1.8 million. That's where the discussion and debate will occur. If that fails, you don't have the 2 prongs. The second prong is obviously the ballot question, which registered voters will vote on. So the first question was just procedurally improper to be before the town meeting, because that is a question that's entirely and solely within the Board of Selectmen's discretion.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that?
So do we have to unvote? Does the board have to unvote what they voted last week?
So I think, to make the record clear, although you could just sign the warrant and it would be clear, but I think it's better to rescind last week's vote to place Article 4 on the warrant.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I move to rescind last week's vote on Article 4.
Second.
okay, roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Wes,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The new Article 4 is now the budget article if the override doesn't pass, and the total is $29,513,245. $231,300 will come from free cash. and that'll be paying for the Whitman Hanson debt amount for, for Hanson's HVAC system debt payment. 26,601,901 will be from raise and appropriate or taxation, and $2,680,044 will come from other sources. And that's the one that goes from 1 to 30, 79 or whatever how many on the budget article.
Okay,
So on this one, last week you voted to place it, but you didn't have the detail, and here's the detail, so now you could vote to recommend.
okay, excellent. So I'm looking for a motion to recommend Article 4, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Roll call. Jim?
Could we have
Aye.
a discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering if we could get some clarity on what steps have been taken to reduce the amount that the school district asked us for. Have we had conversations? I have literally no insight into what those conversations were, when they've happened, who was involved with them, what the original ask was for, what we're down to now. I have a lot of questions around that.
So the only thing I can tell you, Laura, is that the school is going to be voting tomorrow night, Wednesday night, on a revised budget. And until they meet and make a vote, there's no other information that I have.
Okay, so, but what we must have hypothesized what the amount is to reach a conclusion about what dollar amount we're going to put forth in our warrant, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, until they really vote, it's really kind of mute right now, you know, and until they vote to change the budget.
Okay,
But if it does pass, it will be a little bit of relief to the town of Hanson, a little bit. But
okay,
I don't
so,
want to get into what the school committee may or may not do and numbers and all that. You know, to make it fair, the school committee really needs to vote on that before we can really have any discussion on it.
okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Well, it really, I mean, it gives me your position, but it doesn't really answer any of the, like, I have no empirical data that, you know, I'm trying to figure out, like, I want to say yes and vote to recommend this, but how can I do that if I don't have any clarity on how we're getting this number?
Yeah. John, do you have anything to?
So the budget breakdown was in Dropbox. I think I know both of them were both Article 4, the one with the no override, and Article 5 with the override, both were in Dropbox. I didn't print it, but it was in there.
Okay, do you know what number item it was, or? All right, I've got it. Okay. Okay.
All right. I'm sorry, I don't have more information, but
It's this one. It looks like this.
Yep. Thanks, John.
so hopefully they'll vote tomorrow night, hopefully on a revised assessment. Okay.
And so then, Kenny, will we be changing the dollar amount we're asking for if they revise? Again, all contingent, we don't know what they're going to do, but if that happens, so, because I thought tonight was it. I thought we had to pull the trigger tonight.
Yeah, based on our meetings that I've been having every Friday for the past 6 weeks, if there is a slight reduction, then it would save hopefully an employee or two. You know, it depends on that number. So that's where that reduction would come. You know,
Okay,
so,
but what I'm asking, Kenny, is like, if we're voting to recommend, is this on lockdown after tonight, and it has to be then changed on town meeting floor, I guess is what I'm asking, or do we have an opportunity to change that in the warrant if we hear back?
So
let me go to John first.
So the posted warrant doesn't have the numbers in it. It just has the general, to see if the town will, a sum of money. So that's the one that has to be done tonight. The ones that with the numbers in it that one doesn't have to be done until, I think our deadline to get it to the printer is the 20th. So it's next Tuesday, I think. So next Tuesday. So between now and, is it the 20th?
No, it's the 21st, so they could have an opportunity to vote different numbers on the 20th before their public forum.
I don't know if you heard that, but
I did. Yeah, that's super helpful. Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
And Laura, to be clear too, the thing that passes or not is the motion. And I don't know if you recall, but there have been moments where I remember with Mike McHugh, we were getting numbers down to the wire, down to the day of the town meeting. So you can always craft your motion to appropriate a lesser amount. And you guys tend to post a meeting right before the town meeting, so you could rectify your recommendation at that point.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Roll call, Jim.
Jim isn't on.
Aye.
Oh, but here you
Aye.
are.
Laura.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, Mr. Stanbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Article 5 is the article, the amounts that will go into the budget if the override passes, and that's $1,850,000. Again, that's the way it is as of right now. If the numbers change and something happens, again, I think the governor's budget is what we're using right now in our estimates. The House could come up with their budget. I've heard a date of April 14th on that, so I don't know. That's tomorrow. If they were to come out with something and were to have more state aid, then we would have to change it. But for right now, what's in there for in Dropbox is where the $1.85 million money would go back into the budget, and it was what we talked about last week.
Okay. So Article 5, we need to recommend Article 5. Looking for a motion to recommend Article 5.
So
Is there a
moved.
second?
Second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Laura.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, Mr. Stanbrook, looks like Article 6.
Yes, the Article 6 is the recreation budget. So Article 6 will read to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $131,590 from fiscal year 2022 Recreation Enterprise Fund revenues to operate the Recreation Department during fiscal year 2022 under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F and a half, as shown below, or take any other action in relation thereto. Again, the budget line number is number 1. Budget description is recreation salaries. FY22 budget amount is $44,840. Budget line number 2 is recreation expenses, and that's $69,750. And budget line number 3 is recreation indirect costs for $17,000 for a budget total of $131,590. So last week you voted to place it, but you didn't have the detail, and now that's the detail as of today.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to recommend Article 6, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Laura.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Article 7, Mr. Stanbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Article 7 is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $200,186 from fiscal year 2022 Solid Waste Enterprise Fund revenues, transfer $60,000 from Solid Waste Enterprise Fund retained earnings, and transfer $118,000 from general fund free cash for a total to be appropriated of $378,186 to operate the transfer station during fiscal year 2022. Under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F and a half, as shown below, or take any other action in relation thereto. And again, below is budget line item number 1 in this article is transfer station salaries, and the funding source is fiscal year 22 solid waste enterprise fund revenues, and the budget amount for fiscal year 22 is $121,212. Budget line number 2 is transfer station expenses, and the funding sources are fiscal year 22 solid waste enterprise fund revenues, $49,700. Solid waste enterprise fund retained earnings, $60,000. And general fund free cash, $118,000 for a total of $227,700. And then budget line number 3 is transfer station indirect costs. The funding source is fiscal year 22 solid waste enterprise fund revenues, and the budget amount is $29,274 for a total of a budget total of $378,186. And last week you voted to place it. You didn't have the details, so now you have the detail. You could vote if you choose to recommend.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to recommend Article 7, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Wes,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, next up, it looks like Article 9, John?
Yes, Article 9 is the next one that no recommendation was for, although you voted to place it 5-0. And that's the capital improvement program presented by the Capital Improvement Committee. I haven't received that yet, so I can't show you what it is because I don't have it yet from the Capital Improvement Committee.
Okay.
We'll have to skip over that, I guess, until maybe on the 20th we could have that as a.
Yeah, we could do that before the forum. Next, I have Article 10, John.
Sorry, go ahead, Greene.
Same thing.
The Capital Improvement Committee is actually meeting on the 20th at 7 p.m. They wanted to meet on Monday, Patriots Day, but apparently, according to the town clerk, it's not legal, so they will not have that vote to finalize the matrix before your public forum on the 20th. So I don't know what you want to do with that.
Kate?
You can just vote it at your meeting, the day of town meeting, and let Sean know, and he can ask for your vote, and you can announce it at the town meeting.
And in the informational warrant, I can put something like Board of Selectmen will vote at town meeting, or will give their recommendation at town meeting, something like that.
Don't we just write refer to town meeting?
If
Yes.
you want to refer, so that's really not making a recommendation. You could do it that way, but you could say, if you actually want to make an affirmative recommendation once you receive the plan up or down, then it's better to vote the day of town meeting. Because defer to town meeting kind of just says, we're not going to make a recommendation. We're going to let the town decide.
So John, that'll be for Article 9 and 10, correct?
Article 10, no, I do have one thing on Article 10.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead. Article 10, please.
Article 10 is the capital improvement article, and that is to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $40,000 for the following various department capital accounts, or take any other action in relation thereto. And there's one item on the list. It's the Board of Health. It's a health agent vehicle, and the amount requested is $40,000. I recommend it, and the FinCom hasn't voted on it yet, and the funding source would be free cash. And the explanation is the health agent is currently using a fire vehicle. Due to Greene Community's grant limitations, the town is not allowed to hand down older vehicles to other departments. Instead, the town must purchase new vehicles that will meet certain miles per gallon thresholds. This is one where later on we're going to be talking about the CARES Act money that we have still available, and I will be putting this in for CARES Act reimbursement, but there is a chance they could reject it. And if the CARES Act won't pay for it, then we would have to pay for it. So that's why it's on here.
Okay. Any questions on Article 10? Go ahead, Matt.
John, I know that we kind of discussed this in the past. Was that coming down from EEA that we couldn't transfer it from one department to another?
That's part of the Greene Communities grant, and that's if there is a viable alternative that meets the miles per gallon threshold, we have to use it. We're not supposed to be handing down vehicles from one department to another. It's to get rid of the older, less efficient vehicles. So part of taking the Greene Communities grant money is that you agree to do that.
Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion to recommend Article 10.
Aye.
Sure.
Do you
Kenny,
have a second? Give me a second and then I'll go to you, Laura.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Laura.
I just want to kind of, I don't know why this one kind of, I didn't see it before, or didn't notice it before. I don't know why. But is this article going to go through even if our override does not go through? In other words, are we going to be purchasing a new vehicle for our Board of Health agent while simultaneously laying off a policeman or a fireman?
I think that's a tough question to answer. You know, we don't know whether the override is going to go through, but
I'm saying if the override does not go through, which, you know, so will we be taking money that we otherwise could be using to keep a fire or police officer employed?
if the override doesn't go through, we have the option to pass over it.
But how will we know whether the override went
We won't.
through until the ballot?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead,
If I
Jim.
could. I think we're going to have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I actually didn't recommend the motion. I said aye because I couldn't hear clearly enough. But if we recommend and vote on this, you know, to the affirmative, and then the override doesn't go through, we're cutting everything. So the first thing I would cut is obviously a car before someone's job. But if this is due next week on the 20th, we have to vote tonight on everything.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, Kate, do we have that? Like, we've put forth what we're going, like, people are voting on what we're going to cut if the override doesn't go through. So we don't get to willy-nilly decide after the fact what we're going to. I don't want to be hamstrung into getting a Board of Health agent a new car if it means $40,000 that could be used to keep a fireman or a policeman or whatever, fill in the blank. And I feel as though that's where we're headed if we vote yes tonight and the override doesn't go through.
Remember the town meeting, the annual town meeting has a whole bunch of forecasting going on, right? So where we don't know everything in state aid, we don't know all of those things. So remember too that you have a special in the fall where you circle back and say, okay, we need to fill some more from this bucket and take some from this bucket. So you have an opportunity to correct it. And then at that point, you'll have more full knowledge of whether or not the override passed and whether or not, you know, all your aid has come in as anticipated. So the appropriation really just allows these things to occur if everything plays out well, but you can always rejigger in the fall.
Why wouldn't we just kick this can down the road and put it on the fall town meeting warrant? I just don't understand the sense of urgency. I don't recall us discussing this before. And I understand the explanation here, but I think that I I just can't get behind this in the face of what we're looking to cut. I'm sorry. That's just one gal's perspective.
I'm gonna go to Wes and then Jim.
I just agree with Laura. All I would say is the optics are so bad.
Jim,
John, with the grant money, is there a deadline? Because we can't, transfer the vehicle to another department, is there a deadline, from the grant money? Or can we pass over it to the fall meeting? Maybe Matt has that answer.
go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. So last week we had voted on green communities, and that was due last Friday. So we don't really have that opportunity to go back and adjust that grant. Yeah, sorry about that.
So John, on the CARES Act, if we waited until the fall, would we be too late for reimbursement? Because you have to buy the car first, then submit it. Is that how it works?
You have to buy, under the CARES Act, you have to buy the car first and then put it in for reimbursement. They won't tell you ahead of time whether it'll go or not. They'll reimburse or not. They review it and decide whether or not they'll reimburse. So if they say no, which can happen, then we would have a car that is not being paid for by the feds under the CARES Act.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, if I can just ask John another question with the CARES Act. They've said no on other things that you've submitted, correct?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with, Laura and Wes. I can't do this.
Then we'll be in a little bit of a bind, Mr. Chairman, because he's driving a car that we can't allow him to drive.
But the alternative is to buy him a car that we can't afford. Okay, you're up.
Mr. Chair, two solutions possibly, I'm not sure, but the town hall does have a Ford Explorer, and I do understand that other departments do use it, number one. Number two, can't we do reimbursement on a personal vehicle as well?
You could do mileage reimbursement, which it covers both gas and some wear and tear. And I don't know, the health agent's not part of a collective bargaining agreement, correct?
No.
Oh.
So there is that possibility, but you don't want to run afoul of your green communities. It's a tough position, and I don't know about this Ford Explorer.
So I'm just wondering, can we kind of do a hybrid? Like, I like Matt's idea of can we see as an interim measure until we can get to fall town meeting and have clarity on where the heck all this is going to land? Could we ask the health agent to use his own personal vehicle and ask for reimbursement? And then in the fall, we'll have clarity. And if we're able to, then we'll move forward because we need to under the green community. I have to say, and I thought I fully appreciated the green community grant program. That was not abundantly clear to me that we would be required to, right out of the gate, start purchasing new vehicles. It makes sense to me, but I would have hoped we would have had opportunities to plan. And it may just be me that I didn't understand that.
Keith, so how do we remove it?
How do you what?
Vote just to pass over it, or what do we do?
Yeah, so you can do a couple of things because the warrant isn't printed, right, John? And you still have the opportunity to strike articles. So you could move to rescind your vote from last week to approve article, or to place article, and whatever that number was last week. I don't know because they've been renumbered. Or you could simply pass over at town meeting, have it printed without a recommendation, and then choose to pass over.
I think at this point, pass over at a town meeting.
Yeah, it gives you a little more flexibility to
change in the warrant, and And I want to move on here. Is that what you guys want to do? Okay, so Kate, we don't need to do anything now. We can just pass over that at town meeting.
That's right.
Okay, excellent. John, Article 11, one more.
One more, that's the school capital project articles. That's to see if the town will vote to transfer $25,223 from the previously approved Article 3, Number 2 of the October 3rd, 2020 special town meeting and transfer $29,600 from free cash for a total to be appropriated of $54,823 to the following capital accounts for Whitman Hanson Regional High School related items or take any other action in relation thereto. And then there were two items that's number one is the high school phone system, $25,223. I did not make a recommendation on that, and the Finance Committee has not yet voted. And the funding source is Article 3, Number 2 of the October 3rd, 2020 special town meeting. That was a town article for network gear and switches and that was money that we got and was eventually funded by the CARES Act, so that money is available. And budget number, capital number 2 is for the high school. It's a high school fire panel. The amount is $29,600. I did not make a recommendation. Finance Committee has not yet voted, and the funding source would be free cash. And there's explanations for the two if you'd like me to read them.
No, I don't think that's necessary. Looking for a motion to recommend Article 11, please, of the annual town meeting. Go ahead, Laura.
Yep, I think, again, I'm not sure about the urgency here for these two, wondering if they could possibly be put on the town fall meeting warrant. Again, if this is $54,000, it might be used in a different way. This all starts to add up.
Okay. I think last week was really the time to make these recommendations, but what do you guys want to do? Jim?
Laura said it. These numbers are going to add up. Where are we going to get this money? I want to keep jobs. I want to keep people employed. So maybe they have to wait on a new phone system. I don't recommend.
Do you guys want to pass it over? Do the same thing?
Yes.
Matt? Okay. All right, so John, Article 11 and Article 10, the board wishes to pass over at town meeting. But we're not going to change it and keep the numbers all the same. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
And then there's just one more, Mr. Chairman, and that was Ms. Fedorov can help me with it. She combined two articles of the Conservation Commission into a new Article 15. It's fairly lengthy. If you want me to read it all, I will, but this just happened this afternoon. It's the two articles that were related to the Conservation Commission. I guess I'll read it, I guess. So the new Article 15 is to see if the town will vote to revise its approval of Article 25 of the Town of Hanson Annual Town Meeting and submit to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Legislature a home rule petition to change the use of an 8.5 acre portion of land of a larger 62 acre parcel of land known as the Webster Billings Conservation Area, so-called Article 97 land, which portion of land is shown on the schematic prepared by CDM Smith entitled Proposed Waterworks Facilities and Proposed Areas for Land Use Conversion on file with the town clerk and will be more particularly described on a plan to be placed on file with the town clerk at least 7 days prior to the town meeting, and which home rule petition will remove the restrictions set forth in a certain order of taking dated February 25th, 1975, and recorded at the Plymouth Registry of Deeds in Book 4050, page 355, limiting the use of the parcel to conservation purposes and allowing the 8.5 acre parcel to be used as conservation land and wellhead area purposes, and to remove any other encumbrances on the title as may be required. And further, as consideration for the change in the conservation restriction authorized above, to see if the town will vote pursuant to Section 3 of Chapter 40 of the general laws to transfer care, custody, and control of a 25.403 acre parcel identified as Assessors Map 49, Parcel 1-1A, from the Board of Selectmen to the Conservation Commission for the purpose of wildlife, recreation, and forestry. And further, as consideration for the change in the conservation restriction authorized above, to see if the town will vote pursuant to Section 3 of Chapter 40 of the general laws to transfer care, custody, and control of a 21,780 square foot parcel identified as Assessors Map 105, Parcel 6, from the Board of Selectmen to the Conservation Commission for the purpose of wildlife, recreation, and forestry, or take any other action in relation thereto. And there's an explanation, and that was the two articles from last week combined into one. And Ms. Fedorov can speak further.
It's so great reading it, John. It was a mouthful to read, and it was certainly a mouthful to write. But here's the situation. In 2019, there was an article to put legislation forward to take some Article 97 land, which Article 97 protects land for essentially conservation purposes, recreation purposes. It's a provision which helps preserve land. So once that provision is in place, you need legislative relief to change the purpose, even if it's for something as beneficial to residents as wellhead. So we did that in 2019 without a plan, in a specific plan for where the wellhead was going to be located. And I discovered that the two properties that we were putting into Conservation Commission hands were to replace that land, because the way it works with the state is they approve the legislation if you give a exchange of equal value land. And they prefer if you give more land back than you take away. So after making that discovery and also understanding that the legislation was not submitted due to various reasons, planning purposes, etc., trying to figure out where the wellhead should be situated, I felt it was better to be more precise in our removal of the land from Article 97 purposes and demonstrating that these two parcels were there to replace. And then we have a much higher likelihood of having that legislation pass, because what the legislature does with it is they send it to the EOEEA first for a recommendation, and they decide whether or not this is a good transaction. And they make a recommendation, and 99% of the time the legislature goes with their recommendation. So so we're making 2019's vote more precise and finally coming up with the land exchange, because at that time we were thinking, well, maybe we can take a portion of the light control property and use that to offset, but we weren't 100% sure where we were getting the exchanged land from. And EOEEA really prefers to have it definitive in the legislation, so they know that we won't, let's say, forget or something to come up with some more protected land. So this should accomplish that, and everyone understands what's being given and what's being taken away.
So Katie, knowing what you know, do you recommend that we recommend this article?
Yes, because if you need the water, which I understand from the Board of Water Commissioners, Jerry, what's his position? Water
Superintendent.
Water superintendent, you need the water. So if you want the water, this is the way to accomplish that and still preserve land and forward, push that goal forward. Yeah, so I would recommend, you would recommend.
Okay, thank you. Now, John, that's a separate article, right?
Yes, that's a new article that you haven't voted on because last week it was sort of combined into two articles.
Okay. So what article number is that going to be?
So, and I think to make the record clean, you're going to want to rescind last week's vote to place articles.
15.
What were the numbers last week? 15 and 16. I read his lips.
John, can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I think it was 15 and 16, and you're replacing it with a new 15.
Yes. To recommend and to place with a new 15.
So moved. But Kate, just one question through you, Mr. Chair. I've just never seen us combine more than one land transaction into an article. I mean, I know you know what you're doing. I'm wondering, can you tell us what the vote requirement is for this? Is this a 2/3 vote?
So this, we're only changing care, custody, and control. So it's actually,
Okay.
we're not acquiring land or
Yep.
taking land away. So it's a majority, and a home.
It's land we already have. We're just changing care and custody. So it's just majority. Got it. Great. Thanks.
I'll second.
Okay, so we're voting to rescind our vote on Article 15 and 16, and then we're also going to vote to place and recommend a new Article 15. Right, John?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Wes,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you,
Mr.
Kate.
Chair,
Oh, hold on, Kate, don't leave yet. Go ahead, Matt.
just going back to Article 11, the improvements up at the high school, the phone system and the fire panel. It's just kicking back in the, I mean, it's bothering me a little bit. I just want to make sure that both systems are operational and safe for our pupils and our educators up there. I'm just afraid that if we don't take any action on these, and if there's a problem up there, like the phone's not working, and you can't get cell phone reception in those classrooms, that we're making sure that we're providing a safe environment for these kids.
Kate.
And Matt, it occurred to me that that might be a safety issue too, but the beauty of not removing it from the warrant and, you know, making the motion that you made tonight to indicating that you were going to pass over, you still could change your mind at that town meeting, Board of Selectmen's meeting before the town meeting and push it forward if you get more information that this is critical infrastructure and safety is involved, if that persuades you, and move the article.
Mr. Chair, if we could just get clarification on what the status is of what the
John,
projects
can
are.
we reach out to the school to get clarification for the board on Selection Guy's comments regarding Article 11, please?
Yes, and they did provide an explanation on the information warrant. So,
Okay. All right. So that's it. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me. Good luck on the rest of your meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay, next up, we have an interview with Lisa Greene for interim town administrator. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Thank you for your patience tonight.
Oh, certainly, no problem.
So we're going to go on. We all have your resume. We're going to ask you, I'm just going to ask you just a couple of questions. Okay. And I'll begin and then we'll go around. The first question I have is if you take a few minutes to tell us why you should be Hanson's next town administrator, please.
Certainly. You know, I've grown up in this area. Actually, another person from Brockton. I was raised in Brockton. and spent a lot of time in Whitman, traveled through Hanson, spent a lot of time in Hanson. So I'm very familiar with the area. Hanson is a beautiful town. The water bodies in Hanson are beautiful. I actually love looking at the water. It's very calming. Hanson has a lot of challenges as far as economic development, financial challenges, and I think I can bring a lot to the table to start working to address the challenges in those areas. I can bring forth my experience in grants, my experience managing the grant money, my keen eye to look and see where we can save money, and also where we can look at other sources of revenues. I think I can bring a lot of good to the town, and I'm very passionate about municipal government in the towns, and I really would want to see the town succeed in all different ways, for the government, for the residents. And at Hanson, I really look forward to working with all the state agencies who can provide Hanson money to see all of the development that they want to see come to light. And knowing the areas that Hanson's looking to develop and bring revenue to the town, again, I would really love the opportunity to come in to Hanson and see all these projects come to light. Not overnight, obviously, they all take time, but I believe I do have the skills and networks to be able to at least get the ball rolling in these different areas.
Excellent. Next question for me, how would you handle the financial crisis the town's facing with the change in appropriation of the school assessment? And what would you recommend to fill the gap of $1.8 million shortfall for the fiscal budget of 2022?
It's definitely a challenge. So what we first need to do is have the conversation with the schools. And I believe you're waiting for the school committee to make a vote on a revised budget, but have the conversation to see where they can look to bring some of their costs down. We need to voice our concerns and let them know right out of the gate of what we can afford. Looking at our budget, I've actually already had some opportunities to look at that. Looking at areas that we could look at where maybe we can reduce expenses, capital, being part of the conversation regarding the vehicle. I might have some other ideas of where you can cut those. And we also need to look at revenue sources that the town is not tapped into yet. I have done some research of a revenue source the town is not tapped into. I have prepared some research and some documentation and a presentation so that the town can look at this and consider it. And it's mainly just looking to see where we can cut corners, if it's overtime, if it's, again, any type of expenses where we might be able to cut back. And capital definitely is an area that, unless the building is falling down or the car just doesn't run, possibly we could put that off for another fiscal year. And I know that the town is looking into an override, which folks are going to be looking for information on that. And again, I am fully prepared to help the town get the information out to the residents the best we can, so they can understand the dire need for this override.
Okay, I like that answer. Jim Hickey, Selectman Hickey, do you have any questions for Mrs. Greene?
Sure. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hello, thank you.
My first question would be, do you have a spare car that our health agent would be able to use until we have this situation straightened out? No, not really. My question is even worse than that, because one of my questions is, and you've already answered part of it. So, you grew up in Brockton, you worked in Whitman, you spent time here. We know you know the community. My question to you would be, what do you know about the five of us? Or any other departments, that you may know the people in?
Well, I mean, some of you I haven't met formally, personally, and some I have. We've had some very professional, very good conversations about the two towns where we are neighbors. I don't have any. The board seems that you all have a passion for Hanson and for what you do. It's a job that sometimes doesn't always get the thank yous, but you'll definitely get complaints. So everybody is volunteering their time for the good of Hanson. And like I said, I've met some folks in person. We've had some great conversations, and I look forward to working with you all. Whereas we all have the same goal, which is to make Hanson a better place for the residents, and do everything we can to make sure it continues down a positive road. And if we see it going down the wrong road, do again what we can to steer, that group in the other direction.
Great. My other question, and I'm not going to read the one that I have written here. You and I have talked. The board knows that, and anybody that's talked to me, about you would know that. So I guess my question is, because you actually pointed it out to me, along with John leaving tonight, that over the past several years, we haven't been able to hold on to a town administrator, whether it's been the town administrator wanting to leave, or basically the Board of Selectmen, before we were even here, wanting that town administrator to leave. How do you think basically you told me it was 2.5 years. I mean, how do you surpass that? How do we keep you, as a town administrator?
Well, I mean, there's two parts to that question. The last 4 town administrators have left for various reasons. 3 of them have left for other positions, to pursue other positions. One left, the unfortunate circumstances. I've lived in Whitman for 20 years. I grew up in Brockton. My resume does not show a pattern of job jumping, so to speak. I've had long positions of where I was, and some of the positions I had came to an end due to not my control. The travel industry there where I started went in a different direction after 9/11. I made a decision to better myself going to school. I went to law school. I started working with a law firm, and again, with something not beyond my control, I was laid off because the real estate market went downhill, things like that. But then I discovered that I had an interest and a passion for municipal government. And that's why I decided to run for selectman in Whitman, and was fortunate enough to be elected. And that was in 2011. And as the years went by, I really discovered I really wanted to know more and do more. So when I learned that the Whitman assistant town administrator had tendered his resignation, I made the decision to leave a federal government job, which not too many people do, to pursue an application for being appointed and interviewing for the assistant town administrator in Whitman. And I was very fortunate to be appointed. I loved the job. Please, there's no misunderstandings. I loved my job. I loved what I did every day. I loved the great things that I was able to do for Whitman because I had a passion and the tenacity to really see these things through. And when things went in a different direction in the town of Whitman, I made a career decision to leave. And to be honest with you, any jobs that I have applied for have been through public administration. I've applied for jobs at the state of Massachusetts and with the federal government. So I'm not interested in going back to the private sector. I want to continue with public service. If the Board of Selectmen for Hanson appoint me as your interim town administrator, I can assure you I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to do the best I can with the job, and I will stay on as long as you allow me to stay on and appoint me.
Thank you, Lisa. And I did read your resume, very impressive. And I wanted to thank you for that answer.
Thank you. Oop. Kenny, you're muted.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Lisa, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I have a couple of questions for you. Could you please tell us your greatest strength and what would be your greatest weakness?
So great strengths, there's not only just one. You need other strengths to build. So some of my strengths are my passion, my tenacity to, once I get an idea in my head, I want to see it through. Resilience is another strength that comes with those two strengths. You know, no matter how many times you get knocked down, you got to keep getting up, especially if it's the right thing to do. And with my skill set and background, all very good strengths. And a weakness, tenacity can also be a weakness, where sometimes that drive gets in the way of jumping, you know, to next steps without making sure you're gone through the steps. So sometimes tenacity can be a strength and a weakness, whereas sometimes you need to just kind of regroup and take a step back just to make sure you're doing everything right to accomplish a particular goal.
Great, thank you. My next question for you would be, what was the most difficult personnel issue that you have ever dealt with, and how did you handle it?
So one of the more difficult ones was a few years back during our town meeting. We had two of our workers, employees, who were techers, who were literally sitting in the back of the town hall, making very inappropriate remarks about other town officials, name calling, inappropriate language, and they were actually loud enough so that other employees heard them, and also attendees of the meeting, residents heard them. Not a good situation. So I was charged by the town administrator and Board of Selectmen to conduct an investigation of the complaints of the inappropriate behavior. So I interviewed 11 people, and I prepared a full summary and report and presented that. And then I needed to sit with the two workers and go over this report and, you know, have a face-to-face dialogue on having them explain themselves of this type of inappropriate behavior taking place during town meeting. And it was a hostile and controversial dialogue, because you had two people who were denying the complaints, yet I had 11 people who said yes. I mean, they said all this. So we ended up just not reappointing them as Whitman employees for town meetings going further.
Great, thank you. And that would be my questions for right now. Thank you.
Laura?
Yep. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining us. We're thrilled to have you, and we're thrilled that you're even thinking about stepping up to the plate to help us out. If you were given this job, Lisa, how do you envision? I'm sure you've thought about this because I know you're very organized and very process oriented. How would you envision your first week, your first month to transition? What do you think would be important to do during that time frame?
Well, what's going to be important is, fortunately, this is going to be a great opportunity. I can sit with John and we can get up to speed with the budget. And then the next step is going to be to walk around, get around town hall and meet the employees. And then go to police, go to fire, go to the library, and meet all of the town employees. And then, of course, it's getting ready for town meeting as well. So it's going to be kind of juggling and multitasking to make sure the warrant is prepared, and with a busy time, getting all of that and making sure that's in order. But at the same time, again, getting to know the employees, and where this is going to be a tough time for them, again, not knowing me, not knowing what to expect. The more I get out there and talk to folks, the more I can hopefully calm some of their concerns regarding, the mystery of someone else coming in. And then learning the systems that the town uses, the computer systems, email systems, your accounting software, just learning about those systems. So that will probably take a good maybe 2 months. And then just anything else that might be out there that requires immediate attention or that I have to keep on my radar due to any kind of deadline. And it would just be setting up my own type of routines and procedures as we go along.
Okay, awesome. That's great. If you were to describe your management style with your direct reports, let's say I report to you. What could I expect from you? Are you going to meet with me on one-on-ones? How frequently are you going to give me feedback? Are you going to delegate to me? Kind of describe what your management style would be.
Well, my management style is a collaborative type, a synergetic type. Is that I'm not a micromanager. I don't hover over employees. Yet my leadership style, management style is that I have to let people know that there's an expectation of the work that needs to be done. It needs to be done efficiently. It needs to be done accurately. We have residents that basically are expecting us to be there to provide them with services. Customer service is big with me. I've worked in some of the most toughest customer service industries, the airline industry, travel industry, very difficult customer service. So that part of me will always come out. And as far, I can meet with anybody who wants to meet with me on a one-on-one. If they have concerns, they have questions, they just want to ask me some questions about things. I certainly sit with them one-on-one. Have meetings with a department, with department heads, each part of the different steps. People will start to get to know me. I show them my work ethic, my integrity, and there's no room for nonsense with me. It's like, let's get right to the problem. Let's get to the situation. Let's figure out how we can correct it and move on. Municipal government, even though there is always going to be nonsense, you just, as a leader and as a manager, have to know how to calm it, how to reel it in, and actually point people in the right direction. That's done through being professional, respectful, having empathy, encouraging the heart, and just letting people know that you have a trust in them and their abilities, and through that, I'll begin to earn their trust. And with that, they will want to work with me on serving the residents of the town.
Thanks. And Mr. Chair, I just have one last question. Lisa, so much of what we do is behind, it's sort of like, I like to think of the town hall employees as like unsung heroes, right? They're doing their job. If they're doing it well, we really don't hear that much about it. They're not getting praise, a lot of times they're getting condemnation, even though they're doing a good job. But it seems that I think we've been struggling in the past, and certainly we're struggling currently with getting the word out about what's happening. I will say under Mr. Stanbrook's guidance, we've made great headway in a social media presence and, and sort of getting some information out there. How important do you think that is in your role? And do you have any ideas on how we might change that up and improve communicating with our residents?
Extremely important. Extremely important. When people know that they can count on the information that's coming out, they will listen to you, and they will have a positive reaction. My ideas would be to start a newsletter that will go out, just kind of updating residents and employees on what's going on in the town. Any construction that might interfere with their ability to travel on a certain road, any kind of water, any kind of construction that might hinder a service. Facebook is always good, but it can be negative as well. And if we have somebody that you said you have a Facebook update committee, it's important to, especially if you see some comments that might have some misguided information or not complete information, it's important sometimes to just get the information out there. Provide a web address that people can go to get the information. But I like to devise a newsletter that I will keep up to date, and I will put it on the Facebook that our residents can look at. And we could spotlight, certain employees and just see if they want to just say, hi, this is what I do. And it's always important to, again, encourage the heart of public service employees, because they don't get a lot of it. So I always let people know, that they're doing a great job and that I appreciate everything they do. That's really, really important. And I think it really resonates with departments and department heads when they know they've got somebody that has an upbeat attitude, that loves what she's doing, will be there every day. And I think it'll kind of trickle down, and hopefully we'll start to see a bit of boosting in the morale with somebody who, loves being there and loves the work.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Thank you, Mr. Chair. All set.
Mr. Bloss.
Thanks, Lisa. Nice to meet you. Actually, you've done an excellent job as far as I'm concerned of making up your position clear. You're the top of the food chain, basically, and you have been pretty close. Can you give us an example of mentoring where you have, mentored someone coming into the field?
Actually, when I worked with Social Security, I worked in the general counsel's office. I was a lead paralegal and case management specialist. Social Security is a very large agency, and what they tried to do is sorry about that. They brought people in, they took people from some agency, part of the agency, and put them in other offices to learn how other offices operate. So we had somebody from a field office with Social Security. If you were going to apply for benefits or retiring, you'd go into a Social Security field office and sit with somebody to apply for benefits or talk about your retirement and things like that. So they had someone from one of those offices come into our office as general counsel. And they were assigned to me, and I had the pleasure of showing this person everything that the general counsel's office did as far as defending Social Security cases, looking at court cases, entering court dockets and incoming and outgoing court documents in our system, basically introducing them to all the attorneys and doing what they could. It was a great program. It was about 6 weeks, but the person that came in walked out of there really feeling that they were educated on how the general counsel's office works. Because pretty much we were almost the most secret part of Social Security. Nobody knew what floor we were on in the building and the JFK building. So to have someone come from one of the other agencies into ours, it was very good, and I felt it was very good experience for her.
That's good. I mean, you're about to be in a position where John is going to mentor you,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
just knowing that you'd feel comfortable passing that knowledge. Maybe that's not what we're looking at saying right now, but you know that if we do, because there's always turnover, knowing that you feel comfortable mentoring newbies, you know, that makes me feel comfortable. Thanks.
Okay, good. Does anybody else have any more questions? No? Okay. So I think that after everything, after speaking with Lisa and after listening to her answer these questions tonight, I know that I would support her in this role, and I would be very excited to have her come aboard, work with John, and continue to be the town of Hanson's interim administrator.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I
Matt.
want to make a motion to authorize Chairman Kenny Mitchell to make a conditional offer of employment to Lisa Greene for the position of interim Hanson Town Administrator. This offer is conditioned upon satisfactory background review and successful negotiations of the terms of appointment by the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Wes,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So congratulations, Lisa. I
Thank you
think
so
that we should probably, the Selectman Hickey, do you mind being involved? Well, what we should do is we'll set up a time, not now, but we'll set up a time to sit with Lisa. Would you do that with me? Only because you started the process.
Absolutely.
So I would prefer if you
Thank you.
continued that process. And we'll get
Thank
a hold of
you.
you this week and we'll take it from there, Lisa.
Great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it, and I will do the best job I can for the town of Hanson.
All right, great. You did a good job tonight, Lisa.
Thank you.
So we've got to move
I'm sure
on.
you
We'll
will.
be talking in a couple of days. Thanks again for your time and your patience tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next up, one more quick thing, and then we're gonna go to Mr. Armstrong. Town clerk, approval for early voting in person, voting at Town Hall, May 10th, 2021 to May 13th, 2021. So this is only for 4 days, but the town clerk really thought it was necessary to have this with our approval. So I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Let's see. All right, I'm gonna read this. Okay, the town of Hanson to hold, the town clerk's looking for the town of Hanson to hold early voting in-person session for the annual town election at Hanson Town Hall for 4 days, starting Monday, May 10th through Thursday, May 13th. The voting hours will be 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, with Tuesday's hours being 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second.
Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Greer. You'll let Beth know that we're all set with that. Okay, we're gonna jump around here. Discussion on LED street light conversion. We have Mr. Armstrong has been waiting with us patiently. How are you, sir? your microphone.
Oh, I'm doing great. Sorry, I don't miss the meetings. Having sat in your seat, it's kind of fun sitting here at home watching it.
So,
But
Mr. Armstrong, can you briefly
yes,
discuss with us the LED, the streetlight conversion, please, first?
National Grid came to us when I talked to Joe Cardinal, who is our account executive who manages the town of Hanson's electric bills. We had discussed a lot of different things a few years ago. If you remember correctly, I converted we had company convert all the traffic signals from incandescent bulbs to LED lights. This is the town of Hanson pays for 324 streetlights in the town. Every one of those are what's called high pressure sodium lights. High pressure sodium lights are the yellowish light you see on the poles. And what we would be doing is converting them from high pressure sodium to LED. What I will tell you is just a couple of quick characteristics about high pressure sodiums. They have what's called a pretty poor light lumen depreciation, which means over time, they literally start getting darker and darker and darker. They don't always burn out, but the energy goes up, yet the light goes down. The one nice part about LED lights is when they're on, they stay on the same light level, typically 15 to 20 year life. And when that happens, for the 15 to 20 year life, they maintain the same light level the whole time unless they get dirty. That's about the only thing that happens. The town of Hanson was given two offers for this. One was to buy all the street lights and maintain them ourselves. The last thing I wanted to do, and our energy committee was very blunt with it, is we did not want to give this town any more burden that we already had as far as taking care of something. So we actually exercised the option about National Grid maintaining the ownership of all these lights. The electric company, would convert them all to LEDs, which will save us between $14,000 to $15,000 a year. And that's what I've got to look at a couple of different options, but it's about $15,000 a year. And it doesn't cost us any money to do this. We just need permission from the select board to exercise this right to do this. We're going to start the process. They'll put two sample fixtures in. I am suggesting there is a light fixture right in the intersection in front of Dunkin' Donuts, right by Town Hall. And there's another one right in front of the fire station. They're right there so everybody can see them. They would do those first. Once they give us the approval that we like them, they'll move forward with the whole town. It'll take about 3 to 6 months. So you would probably save $15,000 in next year's electric bill by doing this. Plus, on top of this, because we are eligible for an incentive for this, we are also going to receive a check from National Grid. That final number is going to vary based upon which fixtures we all put in and what will adapt to the system. So it can be anywhere as low as $10,000 to as high as $20,000 of incentives that we would receive as a check from National Grid, along with $15,000 in savings. So all I'm trying to do is give you savings and better light and not costing you any money.
Oh, excellent.
And
Does
what
anybody have any?
we
Go
do
ahead.
need is, what Joe Cardinal asked me to do is to get permission from the select board, a vote from the select board to start the process. It's not something that's decided right away. We put a couple samples in, we're comfortable with it, and then we move on. But he told me as soon as if I told him if I get to go ahead tomorrow, he'll get the samples put in the next week, and we can get that decision done in the next 2 weeks so they can start the process. So within 6 months, we start getting the savings, 3 to 6 months.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Is there any questions for Mr. Armstrong? Sounds like a no-brainer. Go ahead, Matt.
Absolutely.
Just want to reiterate that Jim and the Energy Committee has done the homework on this. Jim's been really carrying the torch, or the LED light, if you want to say. And I think right now in the fiscal situation that we're in, it's a no-brainer. And that's what also the Energy Committee says as well.
Okay, roll call. Jim.
Aye, I like that one, Matt.
Laura.
Aye, and thanks to you and the Energy Committee, guys.
Matt.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Jim, thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
No problem. I will, John, if you're okay, I will authorize National Grid tomorrow to start the process. They usually go through the town administrator, but I told him if I got your permission, I could start it tomorrow for you, for the town.
Okay, no problem. Let's do it.
Okay,
Okay, thanks, Jim. Have a good night.
bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Okay.
thanks, Jim.
Next up on the new business. Execute May 3rd, 2021 annual town meeting warrants. Now, John, you're gonna be signing the warrants, aren't you?
No, these are the ones that are going to be posted all around town, so the selectmen sign it. We'll have it, it has to be
Okay.
signed.
Oh, yeah, that's the one you were asking me about earlier.
That's okay. So, I'll have it in the office and the selectmen could come in, the board could come in
We
anytime and
don't
sign
need
that.
a vote, right?
No.
No, okay.
No.
So, so that has to go to print, so we need to get this signed by tomorrow, right?
Well, I'll print them. It's just that you have to sign them so they can be posted throughout the town within 14 days of the town meeting.
So what's our deadline to get the town hall to sign them, John?
Yesterday.
Yeah, all right, that's what I thought.
I'm sorry.
right, so
As soon as possible.
If you guys and girls can pop in, we just need two. I can pop in early in the morning before it opens and sign. Matt and
Mr. Chair,
Laura said
through you,
Yes.
John, will they be printed off tonight, and can I come down and sign tonight?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So we got Laura, me, and Matt. Good. And anyone else that wants to show up, but we need at least three.
Yeah, I don't want to volunteer, Wes, but we'll be down tomorrow morning to sign it.
I'm sure Wes will be driving. Okay, next up.
Yes, he will.
Approve the selectmen report for 2020 annual town report.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Roll call. Jim.
Aye.
Laura.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Appointments. Nominate Mary Collins as Hanson's O'Connelly Elder Affairs Board Director appointee.
So moved.
Second.
Absolutely.
Roll call. Jim.
Absolutely, aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Laura.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Request for dollars for scholars to erect fundraising thermometer on the town green.
So moved.
Second.
Roll
So
call.
moved.
Jim.
Second, third, aye.
Jim, thank you. Laura.
Aye.
Wes.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Next up, request to proclaim April as Dollars for Scholars Month.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Chairman, I think there's something that goes along with that. I think it's like a proclamation that you're supposed to read.
Oh,
Do you have
okay.
that?
Mr. Chair, I have it.
Oh, thank you.
It says, whereas Whitman and Hanson Dollars for Scholars has been awarding scholarships to deserving students from Whitman and Hanson for 50 years, and whereas Whitman and Hanson Dollars for Scholars has awarded $2.8 million to over 3,600 students, and whereas Whitman and Hanson Dollars for Scholars is a community-based nonprofit organization which receives support from residents, businesses, and community organizations. And whereas Whitman Hanson for Dollars for Scholars offers non-restricted scholarships to open qualified secondary school graduates from both private and public schools. And whereas Dollars for Scholars is currently appealing to Whitman and Hanson residents through their annual fundraising campaign. And now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of the town of Hanson, hereby proclaim the month of April as Dollars for Scholars, proclaim April as Dollars for Scholars Month, and urge all residents and businesses to recognize and support Whitman Hanson Dollars for Scholars and the work that they do.
Thanks, Matt. So.
It was moved and seconded. You make us look good, Matt.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, I'd still be looking for it. Jim,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Wes. Wes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Matt?
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye. One-day liquor license. Oh, you know what? I forgot one thing. On the FY22 budget update, I just had one quick thing that I forgot last week. I apologize, guys. So one thing that that we didn't go over, which is my fault, I apologize. I had a couple people ask, how much are our taxes going to go up? You know, they said, well, how much? You guys didn't say, you know, how much. So I have a scale. The easiest way is because everybody's assessment is totally different, obviously. So based on an assessment of $100,000, your taxes would increase if the override was to prevail, $125. All right, so you look at your tax bill, you see what the assessment is, and every 100,000 will be $125. So if your house is assessed at $1 million, that would be $1,250 would be the increase for the year on your taxes for next year, fiscal 2022. So I wanted to put that up, and I apologize. I actually had a few people ask me that. So
Hey, Ken, didn't
yes.
Mr. Stanbrook have, like, I thought there was, maybe I don't know if I'm making this up. I thought there was some little thing that you could plug in your assessment number and it would tell you what
Yes.
the tax. Okay, isn't
Yeah,
that out on our website if people really want to kind of do their own thing and figure out, you know, kind of what's the impact?
That's a good question, Laura. John, you know the Excel sheet that you gave me, because Laura's right, that I actually went in there and played around. Is there a way to put that on the website, or maybe
I believe it is on the website under the finance committee. I know that the chairman Sullivan had asked me to to put that on there, and he was able to post it. I believe it's still there. If it isn't there, I can check tomorrow morning and make sure it's back up.
Okay, Matt.
Mr. Chair, if folks at home wanted to go to hanson-ma.gov and check out our website, all they have to do is click on the search bar and type in override. And the first result that pops up on my computer, at least, is override estimator for fiscal year 2022.
Excellent. Good.
You just keep making us look good, Matt, over and over again.
Yeah. Well, not only Matt, but the people behind them that actually got the information on the website. So, so thank you for that. And the other thing, two things. Next week is the forum. Next Tuesday, I apologize, is the forum at 6 p.m. at Whitman Hanson. The idea of the forum is we want residents to be able to either come to the forum or through email and ask any department head that may be impacted by the shortfall, how it's going to affect their department. So whether it's the fire department, whether it's the library, whether it's the police department, and you want to know, and you have those questions of whether or not you should support this, you can, like I said, come, or the email, John, I'm going to totally put you on the spot. Even if you can find it, we can talk later. But the town, we sent out an email townwide on Friday about the email address. So you can, if you're not comfortable with leaving the house, that's totally fine. You can go on the email, you can put your question, and we'll respond and answer your question next Tuesday. So if you find the email address, John, before the end of the meeting, or maybe your report, you can just give it out.
I was going to mention that in my town administrator's report.
Oh, I'm sorry for stealing your thunder. Okay, next up, one-day liquor license.
I'm sorry, Ken.
Yes.
Go ahead, Barb. Are we all supposed to be at that forum? Is that our posted meeting? I just want to be clear on that.
Yes, okay. That's our posted meeting.
All right, thanks.
Good question, thank you. Okay, one-day liquor license. I'm going to read them both. Saturday, April 17th from 7 p.m. to 11. Saturday, April 24th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Okay. And no, we already did that. Approve minutes for September 2nd, 2020 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Mr. Chair, this is for September 2nd, 2020, you said?
Yes.
I
2020?
think Laura was absent.
I'm sorry, say that again, Matt?
I think Laura was absent for that, so I don't think she'll be able to move it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
you know
I-
what? I'm sorry. Thank you, Matt. I was looking at the
so-
wrong minutes.
With that being said, I'll move it.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Laura,
Abstain.
Wes,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
Mr. Chair.
4-0-1 Greer. Yes, Matt.
Mr. Boss will have to abstain because he was absent as well.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Bloss abstains.
Okay, so 3-0-2. Don't tell me you weren't there, Jim.
No, Mr. Chair, I just want to ask Matt if I was there. I thought I was.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Jim, you were there.
Woo.
Matt's on his toes tonight. All right, thank you. So next we have the town administrator report. Mr. Stanbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the March 23rd, 2021 Board of Selectmen meeting, the board authorized me to sign payroll, vendor, and withholding warrants on behalf of the board through April 30th, 2021. I signed the following 3 warrants on behalf of the Board of Selectmen since the last meeting. It was one warrant dated 4/8/21, warrant 41. It was for $2,880,553.49, and it was a vendor warrant. I signed for all but one school-related packet. The 3 selectmen signed for that packet. That packet was for $2,822,295.44, and that was the Whitman Hanson Regional School 4th quarter assessment. That was the major invoice on that warrant. There's another warrant that I signed for dated April 8th, 2021, warrant 41 PR for $152,758.17. And that was a payroll warrant. And another warrant finally, again dated April 8th, 2021, warrant 41 WH for $30,567.57. And that's a payroll withholding warrant. Under new business, I gave you an update on CARE Act costs through today. It's a one-page one. It has, we've submitted 10 to date. We've received 3 so far. We're on the docket to get a portion of number 4. And it's a breakdown of the school and the town of what we've done so far. We've submitted $945,010.43. There have been 7 separate town-related ones, totaling $598,000, and 3 school-related ones for $346,000. That's what comes up with the $945. We still have more pending on the CARES Act, and that's the second sheet. It has a list of what we've been paid to date and what money's been set aside for. If you remember back in November, we had to, December 30th was the original date. We had to have money set aside and obligated by that date, and then the federal government moved that date to December 31st, 2021 to actually spend that. So we've obligated some money to to pick up with the costs. We also have other obligations that are going forward through December 31st now. And I have a breakdown of the potential costs there. Again, there's South Shore Voc Tech related. There are 2 Whitman Hanson amounts related. That those those were submitted back in November, and that's 1.15 of the total left. And then there's other breakdowns for personal protective equipment or PPE, for COVID-19 costs related to the cable, Whitman Hanson cable. South Shore Voc has some other ones, as I said, some cleaning and other related costs to what we're going to be having at the special and the annual town meeting to be compliant with COVID-19 protocols. Some overtime costs related to COVID-19 from police and fire. And we talked about earlier, the Board of Health vehicle is on there to be purchased. And there's also some modules for online permitting, adds up to be about 45,000. So there's just a breakdown of where we are right now with as of this week on the CARES Act money. Moving on to new business, excuse me. Again, we're still a red colored for the Department of Public Health's COVID-19 map. We're still over 5% or greater testing positivity rate, and we have more than 10 cases per 100,000 of population. Again, that's on our you can get that information on the DPH website, the Department of Public Health, or it's easier just to go to the town's website, Hanson/ma.gov, and just click on the red banner if you want to see where we are. We've been red for a few weeks now. Just real quickly, I'm going to like to read my resignation letter, which.
Just ask Matt, John. I'm sure Matt has a
Do
copy.
you have that?
Right here.
Can you read it? No, I'm only kidding. Thank you. This is dated April 7th. And this is to the chairman, Kenneth Mitchell. And it's my resignation notice. Dear Mr. Mitchell, it is with great regret that I inform you that I will be resigning my position as town administrator in the town of Hanson. I've accepted the position of Director of Business and Finance with the Whitman Hanson Regional School District. As per my contract, my last day of work in Hanson will be June 7th, 2021, unless an earlier date can be negotiated. I've enjoyed my brief tenure here in Hanson, and I have no doubt that you will find a well-qualified replacement for me. And it looks like you have an interim that's a well-qualified person, so that's fantastic. I look forward to working with you and the board and easing the transition for a new town administrator. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to serve the townspeople of Hanson and for being so supportive during my tenure here in town. So thank you very much to the board for giving me this opportunity. That's it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Great, excellent. So unless somebody has anything else to add, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in, well, no, can't go there. Roll call. One of these days, we're going to get back there. Jim?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Do we have to accept John's resignation?
I
vote on that.
thought about that. I checked town council. They said, yeah, we have to. Great
Okay.
question, though.
Are we going to do that tonight?
Yes, it's done. So we do. Right now, we're talking about adjournment, Mr. Hickey.
Yeah, I guess I'll make the motion to accept John's resignation with great regret. I personally liked working with John, so I guess I'll make that motion.
Did we already have that motion
Yeah,
earlier?
we already voted that.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
did? Matt, was I there? Sorry.
I believe so.
I make a motion to adjourn then. I'm sorry. I thought we were
That's all
doing
right.
it officially after John read the letter. My mistake.
Laura,
Aye.
Wes,
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
I'm not going back to you, Jim. I'm an aye. Good
I
night,
with
folks.
regret. Good night.
Aye.
Thank you very
John,
much.
thank you.
And thank you, Whitman Hanson Cable Access, and thank you, Greg. Have a good night.